The following program is based on actual true stories on the high seas. These true stories are fish stories.
Best place to sit if you're seasick is right in the companionway, looking back at the stern or on the ice chest or here.
You want a great story?
Tell a great story, Dan.
It's hard to talk about adrenaline because, you know, you forget it when you're there. You just, there's so much adrenaline. And then there's so much pain. So to explain that to somebody that's never done it is kind of impossible because, you know, usually they're pulling something out of the lake, you know, or something like that. And there's no chance of that little fish coming out of the lake of impaling you. You know, doing some serious damage. You just have to keep going. So either the fish is going to take you or you're going to take him.
This harbor on Hawaii Island is the gateway to some of the most amazing game fishing in the world. There are some 100 world-class charter boats docked here. This is the Kona Blue. This 53-foot Hatteras, powered by dual 735 horsepower diesels, can catch fish. She's piloted by Captain B.C. Crawford.
Sure would be nice. Get one more tag here. Make a day of it.
In the fighting chair today, Marlin fishing veteran Dan Dorr. The Kona Blue heads north, not far from the international airport. These waters have surprise guests every year. Humpback whales by the hundreds. Whales, they're fun to watch. Marlin, they're fun to catch. These handcrafted lures cutting through the ocean at 7 knots are enough to get any big predator excited.
Oh, yeah. Way to work, Anna. Good, Dan.
The crew needs to be cautious. The last thing anyone needs is a missile with a spear flying towards the boat, full of people.
Nice work, Dan. Nice work.
The crew preps for an underwater shot with a stick cam.
Oh, yeah.
This is a healthy fish. Crew member Mike Dakel grabs the leader's starboard side. This is where the rubber meets the road, where strength, intuition, and experience all come together. Captain David Crawford will tag the fish, and then they'll release it. Dan has his second fish of the day. Nothing like adrenaline on the ocean. Coming up, this Aussie is back on the water. Plus, monsters.
We got the gear back out in the water, all the lures set again, and went about 100 yards. I think I was still trying to sink my engines, and I looked back and it looked like a submarine had just come up and gone back down right behind the lure. I hear Ryan say, "Big fish!"
Marlin Quest is brought to you by Airmar Technology, the leaders in chirp transducer technology, and by the Royal Kona Resort, an oceanfront landmark in the heart of Kailua Kona, Hawaii. You've already made a great choice in electronics. Now, achieve sonar superiority with an Airmar chirp transducer, advanced chirp technology that can find them in wrecks and find them in the depths. That's sonar superiority by Airmar.
That it's not going to fail. And no matter what tournament it's in, no matter how much that money is in, I can lay my head down on that pillow at night and go, this is the finest hook money's ever built and technology's ever had.
You gotta stabilize, you always gotta come up above decks if you're feeling bad. Go up on the bridge or on the back deck, breathe a lot of air, look at the horizon. Set that horizon in your mind and your inner ear will balance. Because what's happening with seasickness is you're getting motion from a boat this way, but your eyes are seeing water coming at you this way, and your inner ear, those little hairs in your eustachian tubes are getting signals that they're not used to getting. So your brain is like, what is going on? It might send some kind of acidic secretion to your stomach where you think, oh, I'm seasick, my stomach hurts. But it's actually your brain fooling your stomach into thinking it's nauseous. So the cure for that is the Coca-Cola. And basically, sailors used to say anything round is good to eat on the ocean. So if you got a cookie, that's good to eat. You got an apple, that's good to eat. They're round. M&Ms, they're round.
On her last charter,
Short rigger! Short rigger!
Australian native Alex Durham
Here it comes!
latched on to a Pacific blue marlin. After wrestling with it for about 30 minutes, the crew gets the fish under control so they can tag it. This is a big female. They'll let her go.
That's 500 every day of the week.
This size fish is not out of the ordinary for this lady from down under. You see, she's a world record holder. Later in the day, Captain Kevin Hibbard pilots the second offense slightly to the north, in Kilo Sector. The water depth along this run is about 800 fathoms, nearly a mile deep. About an hour later, Captain Hibbard steers the second offense and turns south, heading for some tried and true fishing grounds near a favorite landmark, Red Hill. Nick Durham is crafted the tantrum lures that are out. 15 minutes into the run,
Come rigger! Come rigger! Come rigger! Almost look like a stripey. Stripey.
In Hawaii, a striped marlin is called an a'u and can live up to 20 years. Their length can get up to 14 feet.
Striped marlin that we get here in Kona usually come through in the winter and springtime. They'll show up all year round, but most prevalent at that time of year. The ones we get here in Hawaii generally aren't real big, so that one we let go is probably at the bigger end, like above average of what we see here in Kona. On the other hand, back in Australia where I'm from and in New Zealand, we see some really big stripies up over like 400 pounds, and they're a lot of fun when they get to that size.
Coming up, there's another commotion in the ocean.
It was up in a tagline that comes from the bimini up off my tuna tower, and I cranked that clip down to the rod tip, and I have a gaff up in the belly band of my bridge, and I grabbed the tagline with that and tried to break it free, and I was holding the reel in free spool with the other hand, and right as I was about to break it free, it just came out of nowhere sideways and woofed the lure.
Marlin Quest is brought to you by Airmar Technology, the leaders in chirp transducer technology, and by the Royal Kona Resort, an oceanfront landmark in the heart of Kailua Kona, Hawaii. At Release Marine, our custom woodworking facility specializes in handcrafted sport fishing equipment and yacht furniture. Quality, durability, imagination. Release Marine. Always lead, never follow. When sport fishing along the Kona coast of Hawaii's Big Island, you'll have the chance to explore other parts of this amazing paradise, including Keauhou Bay, about 5 miles south of Kailua Kona. It's a popular recreational area that's also steeped in history. King Kamehameha III was born here in 1814 and became Hawaii's longest reigning monarch. Keauhou Bay is stunning, and it's home to the Keauhou Canoe Club, where paddlers still compete in the ancient sport of kings. Besides the tour boats and paddle boarders and kayakers, there's amazing snorkeling. And at night, the ocean comes alive with manta rays feeding on microscopic plankton. Everything's right at Keauhou Bay, including the year-round weather.
Fishing had been slow that day. We'd been catching them, you know, getting 2 or 3 bites a day, but I took, it was just my deckhand, Ryan O'Halloran, a friend of his, and Ryan's father and mom were here visiting, so we took Ryan's dad fishing that day. And he really wanted to catch fish to eat more than tangle with a big marlin sort of thing. And I just kind of did my normal runs, and I fished all the way down to Milili'i and then fished all the way back that day without a strike. On my way back up towards the harbor, once I got to VV buoy, I just made a Hail Mary attempt out to the 1,000 fathom curve out in front of town in Kaiwi Point, hoping to catch a spearfish for his dad. And right as I finished that turn, we hooked a spearfish. So I stopped, and we got Tim, Ryan's dad, in the chair, and he fought it about halfway to the boat, and it came off. We got the gear back out in the water, all the lures set again, and went about 100 yards, and I think I was still trying to sink my engines, and I hear Ryan say, "Big fish" on the stinger. I looked back, and it looked like a submarine had just come up and gone back down right behind the lure. Gave the lure a couple of cranks, and then up it came again, and it opened its mouth right behind the bill in the air, dorsal in the air, I could tell it was a nice one. I have a gaff up in the belly band of my bridge, and I grabbed the tag line with that and tried to break it free, and I was holding the reel in free spool with the other hand, and right as I was about to break it free, it just came out of nowhere sideways and woofed the lure. Shaking its head a bit, dorsal in the air, tail in the air. Then I was real impressed with how big the fish was, and you know, I knew it was over 800 kind of thing. And anyway, we got his dad situated. Fish wasn't really taking much line. It was just carrying on the surface. It'd stop and make a big whitewater ball, shaking its head. Probably another 10 minutes or so after that, my decky had the wire on it. We were hoisting it out of the boat at the fuel dock. We put the rope around the tail and started hoisting the thing out, and Ryan and I were both on the bill, which was up in the salon. Got about halfway lifted up, then I was like, wow, this thing is nice, this might go. And I just looked at Ryan and said, you watch this, boy. Got it hanging all the way up, everybody's hands off, 1,064. Then we all got thrown in the water.
On deck, a legendary boat, captain, and a feisty fish. And Brother Brett's got this covered, man. You've already made a great choice in electronics. Now, achieve sonar superiority with an Airmar chirp transducer. Advanced chirp technology that can find them in wrecks and find them in the depths. That's sonar superiority by Airmar.
One of the most important things in fishing, and of course what keeps us attached to the fish, is the hook. There's millions of different kinds of hooks out there for millions of different kinds of applications. The two most important hooks in big game fishing, the J hook is mostly used for trolling applications, and the circle hook is used mostly for live bait applications. The J hook, we use it mostly in lure applications. We have either double hook rig or single hook rig. A lot of folks are going to the single hook rig because it's a little safer. The hook is designed for the point that goes towards the shaft, and the reason that is it gives us a little bit more opportunity to hook up to these marlin. A lot of times they come in slashing the lure, and we can actually get this hook to go around the bill and horseshoe the bill because of the taper of the marlin bill. The second hook is the circle hook. Now this little oddity, as you see, is more round. It looks pretty difficult to hook into a fish, but this concept has been around for thousands of years, all the way back from Polynesia to the Hawaiians and whatnot. And the reason that is because of the hookup and the successfulness of this hook. Most of the time it's used in live bait applications. When the fish eats this, the hook actually goes all the way inside the mouth. As the fish swims away from us, the hook is actually drawn through the corner of the mouth and finds itself right into the jaw, which is the strongest part of these big game fish, or any other fish. Another good thing about the circle hook is if the fish does miss the lure or the bait, it's actually going to draw back out of its mouth without hooking anything. You run the chance of getting that fish to come back time and time again because it doesn't feel that hook dragging across the mouth. Whether you're after big blue marlin or bluegill, there's a hook out there that's ready for you, and it's going to turn your fishing into catching.
It's another gorgeous day in Hawaii. Brent Nelson is a music composer out of Los Angeles. He and the seasoned crew of the Northern Lights are in a tag and release tournament. Their destination? Less than a 10-minute blast over to the ledge. The water conditions and currents today are ideal.
We got Brent today. We're hoping by the end of the day everybody gets something here.
Within an hour, Brett tags a fish. Then he's hooked up to his second one of the day. Well, it doesn't take long. It's a small Pacific blue marlin. The fight lasts a mere 5 minutes. And since this crew is in a tournament, bringing a fish in fast and releasing it simply means you can get your hooks back into the water sooner.
First one to do. If you haven't felt good all day, that's the way to feel good on the ocean. Is eat a nice sandwich and have a Coca-Cola and enjoy the day.
Really? And
I've seen people who have been uncomfortable on a boat, and that, that just comes with who you are. And some people don't like the ocean as much as others.
A sip of Coke takes care of it.
Yeah, I pity some people who I've seen who have been seasick because they want to die and then they realize they can't. Then the next thing they want to do is jump in the ocean because they think that'll cure their seasickness. And of course, that's the stupidest thing they can do because all they're going to do is float away. And then what? Then they're going to sink.